Spring's here and your garden's ready to bloom. But is your garden's drainage set up for success? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Today, I'll show you how to fix drainage issues in your garden so your plants can thrive. Let's dive in, because a little drainage can go a long way. Alright, before we get into all the awesome fixes, let's take a minute to talk about proper drainage is such a big deal for your garden. This isn't just some fancy gardening term, it's something that directly impacts the health of your plants and the success of your garden. Let me break it down for you. Plants are like people. They need the right conditions to thrive. And one of the most important conditions for plants is having access to water in just the right amount. Not too little, not too much. This balance is crucial because both overwatering and underwatering can cause serious issues. Now, we all know that water is essential for plant growth. Water moves nutrients through the soil and helps plants absorb what they need to grow strong and healthy. But here's the catch. Plants also need oxygen in the soil. Their roots breathe just like we do, and they need air to stay alive and active. When the soil is too wet for too long, the roots can't get enough oxygen. And guess what happens when roots suffocate? They rot. That's right, root rot. It's a major killer for plants. On the other hand, if the soil doesn't drain well, water can stay stagnant, turning your garden into a mini swamp. Standing water invites all kinds of problems. It creates a perfect environment for fungal diseases, mold, and bacteria, which can destroy plant roots and spread diseases across your garden. You'll notice the first signs of this in the form of yellowing leaves or wilting plants, and once that happens, it's tough to recover from. Here's where drainage comes in. Good drainage keeps the soil aerated and allows excess water to escape, preventing water from pooling around plant roots. This means your plants get just the right amount of moisture, enough to stay hydrated but not so much that they drown. And let's not forget, when water drains well, it also helps prevent soil erosion, which can wash away nutrients your plants need to survive. But what about during those rainy spring months when the skies open up and dump tons of water? Well, this is when drainage is especially crucial. Heavy rainfall can overwhelm your garden, and without proper drainage systems in place, your soil can become saturated in no time. And even if you've got well-established plants, too much moisture can still lead to problems. It doesn't matter if it's a fancy shrub or a simple flower. Their roots can only take so much before they start struggling. And let's be real, nobody wants to watch their hard work go down the drain. We put in time, effort, and money to plant beautiful gardens. And seeing them suffer because of poor drainage can be disheartening. But with a little attention to drainage, you can prevent these issues before they even start. Plus, good drainage doesn't just help prevent plant death, it promotes growth. Proper drainage supports strong, healthy root systems, which means your plants are better equipped to handle all sorts of challenges. From drought to pests, plants with a solid foundation, literally, are more resilient. And isn't that the goal? A garden that looks amazing and thrives season after season? So in short, proper drainage is about more than just keeping your plants alive. It's about keeping them thriving and reaching their full potential. Healthy plants with strong roots are better at fighting off diseases, handling the elements, and growing into those gorgeous, vibrant blooms you want to see. Let's be clear, your plants aren't asking for much. They just need a little TLC when it comes to drainage. And trust me, when you nail it, your garden will thank you in the best way possible. You'll see healthier plants, more blooms, and a garden that feels like a slice of paradise every time you step outside. Now that we understand why drainage is so important, let's move on to the signs that your garden may need some drainage help. Trust me, it's easier to fix than you think. Now that we know why good drainage is so crucial, let's talk about how to spot the signs that your garden drainage might need some serious attention. Identifying these problems early can save you a lot of headaches down the road. So, how do you know if your garden is struggling with drainage? Here are the most common signs you should look out for. First off, standing water is a major red flag. If you've noticed that after a rainstorm, water is lingering in certain parts of your garden for hours, sometimes even days, that's a sure sign that your garden's drainage system isn't doing its job. When water sticks around like that, it means the soil is either compacted or the water can't drain away fast enough. That stagnant water doesn't just sit there looking ugly, it can also cause root rot, mold, and invite all sorts of pests. The longer it stays, the worse it gets. Now let's talk about yellowing leaves. Have you seen this happening to your plants? Yellow leaves are a clear sign that your plant is stressed, and one of the most common reasons for this stress is poor drainage. When water collects around the roots, it suffocates them, limiting their access to oxygen and nutrients. As a result, your plants start showing signs of distress, and yellowing leaves are one of the first indicators. In severe cases, this can lead to the plant dying off entirely if not addressed in time. Another telltale sign of poor drainage is wilting plants. You might think that wilting happens when your plants don't get enough water, but guess what? It can also happen when there's too much water. When soil becomes waterlogged, the roots can't absorb the nutrients and oxygen they need, leading to wilting even though the soil is wet. So even if you're watering your plants regularly, if the soil doesn't drain well, the roots aren't getting what they need, and your plants suffer as a result. Have you ever noticed your garden smelling musty or swampy after it rains? If so, that's another sign that drainage might be an issue. When water isn't draining properly, it can create a damp, stagnant environment that's perfect for mold and fungi to grow. This not only smells bad, but it also signals that your garden soil is staying too wet for too long, and that can lead to root rot and other fungal diseases. So if your garden has a funky smell after heavy rain, it's definitely time to assess the drainage. Erosion is another sign that drainage could be a problem. If you notice that your garden soil is washing away after a heavy downpour, it's a clear indicator that the water is not draining properly and is instead running off too quickly. This can lead to soil loss, which removes nutrients your plants need to grow. Plus, erosion can create uneven ground and even damage your garden layout. So if you see that your soil is being carried away, it's time to think about improving drainage. Finally, one more indicator is waterlogged paths or lawn areas. If you walk around your garden and notice certain paths or patches of lawn are always soggy or muddy, even when the rest of the garden is dry, it's another sign that your garden's drainage isn't up to par. These wet patches can easily turn into puddles, which means they're not allowing water to seep into the soil as it should. So what do we have here? Standing water, yellowing leaves, wilting plants, musty smells, erosion, and waterlogged areas. These are all signs that your drainage is in trouble. The good news is, all of these problems are fixable with the right steps. But the first step is recognizing them early. The sooner you address drainage issues, the sooner your garden can bounce back and start thriving again. Don't worry if you're seeing some of these signs right now. We're about to dive into how you can fix them, so stay tuned. Better drainage is just around the corner. Alright, now that we've identified the signs of poor drainage, it's time to talk about the quick fixes you can use to make your garden's drainage a whole lot better. The best part? These fixes are easy to implement and can make a huge difference in a short amount of time. So, let's get started with some simple solutions that will help your plants stay healthy and your garden flourish. First up, let's talk about aerating your soil. This is one of the easiest and most effective ways to improve drainage. Over time, the soil in your garden can get compacted, especially in high-traffic areas or where water tends to pool. When the soil gets compacted, it prevents water from draining properly and restricts airflow to the roots. To fix this, grab a garden fork or an aerator tool and poke holes into the soil. It might sound simple, but it makes a huge difference. By creating holes in the soil, you allow water to flow through more easily, and you also help air reach the roots, which is vital for healthy plant growth. Aerating is a great way to relieve compaction and encourage better drainage without a lot of effort. Next, let's talk about adding organic matter to your garden. This step is like giving your soil a makeover. Organic materials like compost, well-rotted manure, or even shredded leaves are perfect for improving soil structure. When you mix organic matter into your soil, it loosens the texture and allows water to drain more effectively. It also helps retain just the right amount of moisture for your plants, so they're not sitting in a swamp. Adding organic matter also improves the overall health of the soil by boosting its nutrient content. And healthy soil equals healthy plants. This step is incredibly important if your soil is heavy in clay or tends to compact easily. Another fantastic fix is building raised garden beds. If your garden has chronic drainage issues, raised beds could be a game changer. By elevating your plants above the ground level, you create a space where excess water can drain away more easily. Raised beds also give you full control over the soil mix, so you can create the ideal environment for plant roots to thrive. Plus, they're easier to maintain. The best part? You won't have to worry about water pooling around your plants because the drainage is naturally better. Raised beds are particularly helpful for plants that need well-drained soil, like most vegetables and herbs. Let's move on to something a little more advanced, installing a French drain. If you have major drainage problems, like water constantly pooling in certain areas of your garden, a French drain might be exactly what you need. A French drain is a trench filled with gravel and a perforated pipe that redirects water away from the problem area. This drainage system is incredibly effective for redirecting excess water, especially in areas that tend to collect rainwater. It might take a little more effort to install, but the payoff is worth it. Once the French drain is in place, you'll notice an immediate improvement in how well your garden handles heavy rain and how quickly the soil dries out. Another simple but highly effective fix is using mulch. Adding a layer of mulch to the surface of your garden beds helps to retain moisture during dry spells, but it also has the added benefit of improving drainage. Mulch prevents water from evaporating too quickly, keeping the soil at the right level of moisture for your plants. It also helps prevent erosion, which is a common problem when water runs off too fast. Not only does mulch help with drainage, but it also gives your garden a neat, finished look. Plus, it suppresses weeds, which is a nice bonus. So, let's quickly recap. Aerate your soil to relieve compaction. Add organic matter to improve soil structure. Consider raised beds for better drainage. Install a French drain if you're dealing with heavy water buildup. And don't forget to mulch for moisture retention and added drainage benefits. These are all simple fixes that can help your garden thrive and prevent the drainage issues we talked about earlier. Now, these fixes will make a noticeable difference in your garden's drainage, but remember, it's always best to combine a few of these solutions for the best results. Let's face it, your garden deserves the best, and a little drainage TLC can go a long way. Coming up, we'll talk about some long-term solutions and maintenance tips to make sure your drainage stays in top shape. Stay with me. Now that we've covered the quick fixes, let's talk about long-term solutions and maintenance to keep your garden's drainage in top shape throughout the season. A little extra care and attention can help you avoid future drainage problems and ensure your plants keep thriving year after year. Let's dive into how you can maintain great drainage and set your garden up for long-term success. First, one of the most important things you can do is monitor your soil regularly. This might sound like a no-brainer, but it's easy to forget. Keep an eye on how your garden is reacting to rainfall and watering. After a rainstorm, check for signs of standing water or soggy spots that might indicate poor drainage. You can even check the soil's moisture level by sticking your finger into it. If the soil is soaking wet just a few inches below the surface, that's a sign you might need to make adjustments. Monitoring your soil regularly means you can catch drainage issues before they turn into bigger problems. Plus, it helps you avoid overwatering or underwatering your plants, keeping them in that perfect sweet spot for growth. Next, let's talk about your gutters and downspouts. It might sound unrelated to your garden, but trust me, it's crucial. Clogged gutters and downspouts can overflow and dump water directly into your garden, which can cause serious drainage issues, especially if your garden is located near your home's foundation. Make sure to clean your gutters regularly, especially in the fall and spring when leaves and debris tend to clog them. You might also want to install downspout extenders to redirect water away from your garden beds. By keeping water away from areas where it's not needed, you're preventing excess moisture from pooling and messing with your plant's roots. Another great long-term solution is to revisit plant placement. Some plants prefer dry soil while others love it a little wetter. Understanding what each of your plants needs is key to creating a thriving garden. For example, plants like lavender, succulents, and many herbs prefer well-drained soil and don't like sitting in water. On the other hand, plants like ferns or irises thrive in moist environments. By grouping plants with similar water needs together, you'll help maintain healthy drainage levels. This also reduces the risk of some plants being overwatered while others are underwatered. Along the same lines, amend your soil regularly to keep it in top condition. Over time, soil can become depleted of nutrients or lose its ability to drain effectively. So it's important to keep adding organic matter to replenish nutrients and maintain the soil's structure. By adding compost, mulch, or organic matter to your garden beds at least once or twice a year, you'll ensure that your soil remains loose, well aerated, and capable of draining water properly. This simple step can really improve the long-term health of your garden. Another way to ensure lasting drainage success is by creating a good grading system in your garden. The layout of your garden should naturally encourage water to flow away from plants and areas where it could collect. If your garden has low spots where water tends to pool, consider leveling or grading the soil to create a gentle slope. A slight incline, around 1 to 2 inches for every 10 feet, can help water flow away from your garden beds and prevent standing water. If you're not sure how to do this, there are plenty of easy guides and tools to help you with grading. Finally, let's talk about seasonal maintenance. During the fall, remove any fallen leaves and debris from your garden beds, as these can block water from draining properly. In the spring, before you start planting, give your soil a good check and aerate if necessary. Also, make sure that any drainage systems you've set up, like French drains or downspouts, are clear of blockages and still functioning properly. By keeping up with regular monitoring, cleaning, and adjustments, your garden will stay healthy and vibrant all season long. It's like preventative care for your garden. It's easier to maintain great drainage than to fix a flooded or waterlogged garden. And remember, your plants will thank you with strong roots, better growth, and an amazing bloom. So there you have it. A few long-term strategies and regular maintenance tips that will keep your garden's drainage in tip-top shape. With a little care and attention, you'll avoid drainage problems in the future and enjoy a garden full of healthy, thriving plants year after year. Thanks for hanging with me through these drainage tips. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more gardening tips, and share this with your fellow garden lovers. Happy gardening! Want more gardening tips? Check out these videos. Follow us on Instagram for daily garden inspiration.